eccentric, often brilliant gnomes are held as one of the most peculiar races of the world.
Since it was introduced after the Wano arc, Luffy's second dream has been almost as elusive as the One Piece itself. His goal of becoming king of the pirates and thus being the most free has always made sense based on who Luffy is. But what is it that he could possibly want after he has achieved this? Based on how Imu reacted to Joyboy's return, I think I might have an idea as to what it is. And the hint is right in the very name, Joyboy. Gear 5 has always been shown to be all about freedom, but it also brings happiness and laughter to everyone who sees it. Is that laughter what Imu is afraid of? Well, I believe so, and here's why such a simple thing could just be the key to unraveling centuries of Imu's plans. In chapter 1163, Imu was attacked by 6 of the strongest characters in One Piece at the same time, only to become a sort of blob monster and then reform almost like nothing happened. They then go on to Domi Reversi, arguably the strongest character we have seen thus far, besides Imu themselves. This really makes you wonder how you could beat something with this much power. Normal means seem to have almost no effect, so something else has to be the key to defeating this monster. This is where the idea of laughter starts to come to mind. Imu is the most stoic character we have seen in One Piece. We have never seen them smile, laugh, and they appear to always be brooding. These parts of Imu's personality lead us to wonder just what could Joyboy have done in the past to still have Imu fearful in the present. I don't think it would just be a strong attack. As we have seen, that doesn't seem to permanently work. So what else could it be? I think the key lies within the Nika power. Not a new concept by any means, but I think it's actually the laughter of everyone around that sees it. I mean, think about it. When Oda talked about how Kaido would be beaten, he said a giant fist wouldn't do it. And even though it did kind of turn out that way, we still got the absurd Nika powers as the thing that finally defeated him. I think something similar is happening here with Imu, where the fist is not the way to defeat them, but rather the qualities that Nika embodies that will ultimately do the trick. The Gorosei called it the most ridiculous power, and we have seen that it embodies freedom, joy, and most importantly, in my opinion, laughter. Which leads into the next thing we need to talk about, which is what I think Luffy's dream is. To first understand Luffy's true dream, we need to look at the times that Luffy has talked about it, and how those who heard it reacted to it. Luffy went out of his way to tell his brothers Ace and Sabo, as well as his inspiration Shanks, and even told his crew after the events of Wano. The reactions from his crew were varied, but some highlight reactions include Nami, who is confused, remarking that it sounds a lot like Luffy. Usopp, who asks if Luffy is serious, adding, "Come on, there's no way anyone can do that." Frankie, who says that it is perfect and states that you would need to be Pirate King to even make it possible. Finally, the most noteworthy reaction in my opinion is Robin, who looks at Luffy with a surprised expression, which we will delve more into in a bit. So let's also look at Roger's famous line, "Wealth, fame, power." One of the most iconic lines in the story. I have found something that could be a massive clue to what Luffy's dream could entail. In Luffy's childhood flashback, all 3 of the kids, Ace, Sabo, and Luffy, are proclaiming their dreams. Sabo says he wants to be strong, which I think is the power portion of Roger's speech. Ace says he wants to be famous. Fame, obviously. So that leaves us with Luffy, who would be wealth. As we know, Luffy doesn't really care about wealth in a common sense, so I think that it would probably be a wealth of laughs or friendship or something of the sort. I think Oda could have given us a big hint here. We also know from Yamato and Ace's flashback that Roger had the same dream as Luffy, creating another parallel between them. What possible dream that so many people think is impossible and so childish that no one would ever think of it could be shared between the former Pirate King and the future Pirate King? Well, I think that Luffy's true dream is to make the entire world laugh. This would be the antithesis to a being who embodies control, despair, and fear, such as Imu. And it even reminds me of an old phrase that I have heard many times. Laughter is the best medicine. If Luffy were to make the entire world laugh, I believe it could undo centuries of Imu's corruption, and even turn everyone against Imu, realizing that they are the true enemy, truly turning the world upside down. Now that we have a brief understanding of what I believe Luffy's dream entails, I want to get back to Robin. As we discussed earlier, the facial expression that Robin makes is a look of surprise, and to me, it is the most telling of all. Why does this reaction matter? Well, when Saul washed ashore on Ohara and Robin found him, they quickly grew a bond. Robin was an unhappy child, but Saul's contagious laughter and presence pulled her back in, explaining to her that if you laugh when you are hurting, you will find happiness. Robin says that it seems rather silly to laugh when you are hurting, but Saul dismisses this idea. We then see, as Saul is being frozen by Aokiji, he tells Robin to laugh like he taught her, and that one day she will find friends, because no one in this world is born to be alone. As she is leaving Ohara, she attempts to laugh like Saul taught her, only to start crying again. I think that what Saul taught Robin is exactly what she was thinking of as she heard Luffy proclaim his dream. I want to make the whole world laugh. A full circle moment for her, as her first friend who taught her to laugh when hurting, and her now captain both realized the importance of laughter and the effect it could have on someone who is as deep in despair as Robin was. Maybe it would even be powerful enough to liberate the world. So, if you weren't already convinced that laughter is important to the One Piece story, I would like to show you all of the different laughter styles that we have seen. Just scrolling through the wiki, you can see that Oda has put a lot of work into making different laughter styles for a lot of characters. And while this isn't concrete evidence of anything, it does show that Oda has purposefully crafted a lot of different laughs and pays attention to it quite a bit. Let's now delve into the man of laughter himself. Luffy has always been shown to appreciate and provide for others freedom, joy, and laughter. His track record of going to islands, making friends with the nobles, and liberating the people while making them laugh in the process is almost as long as the story itself. But with the introduction of the Nika power, we saw something no one really expected. Not only does this power exemplify who Luffy is as a person, it also shows us that the Nika power was waiting for someone like him. And as we learn that zone fruits have wills, the Gorosei even said that the power hid itself away from them, being even more slippery than other zones. So if the Gorosei think that it's the most ridiculous power, and the power itself is basically Toon Force, which Oda said the Nika power was inspired by Tom and Jerry himself in an interview, we can make a guess that the power is meant to make people laugh at a base level. Not only because of the inherent joy it brings people, but because of the absolute goofiness that it enables, like a Looney Tunes episode, such as eyes popping out, running on air, and pulling goggles from your own hair. This power also makes Luffy laugh constantly. And if Luffy's dream is actually to make the entire world laugh, this power would be just as paramount as becoming the Pirate King. This fruit literally sought Luffy out, evaded capture all this time to be given to the right person. And I think that could only happen to someone whose views perfectly aligned with the Nika fruit. So if the Nika fruit is about freedom and laughter, let's look at some of the villains who embody the opposite. As most One Piece readers agree, a lot of the villains we have seen throughout the story share very similar traits to the way that Imu has been since their reveal. Enel having the God complex comes to mind. However, I would like to talk about one that doesn't get as much attention in my opinion: Sugar. Sugar has the Hobby Hobby fruit, a power which turns things into toys, and it even has a contract component that lets the fruit user dictate what you will do and what you can say. Contracts are a very popular trope with devils and demons in lots of different media as well, which could tie into Imu's devil aesthetic. If you haven't watched my other video on this topic, please check it out. But while all of this is very comparable between the two characters, I actually think that the component of Sugar never aging is the most important. Sugar is actually 22 years old. However, because of the Hobby Hobby fruit, it makes it seem like she is forever a 10-year-old. I think the same thing could be going on with Imu. If we look at how small Imu appears to be, it stands to reason that Imu could also be a child. perhaps a child with some foreign entity possessing her. Maybe a demon or devil has been inhabiting the body of the true Nerona Emu this entire time. Emu also seems to have some type of child speech pattern, referring to themselves in third person as Moo, almost like a nickname. You can check out this breakdown by Artor if you are curious. To add on to this, I think something similar could also be happening with Gunko. Gunko said that her biggest fear was the sun god Nika, which is a crazy statement when we consider that Gunko has been shown to have the ability to be possessed by Emu in a similar way to what we saw with the Saturn possession. So it makes you wonder if this is actually Gunko's true fear or if Emu's fear is shining through Gunko. Regardless, we saw a small blip in the system after Gunko heard Colin calling out for his father, the same way that it appears that she did in her small flashback, calling out to her own father. Now, while we don't have the full scope of this, the implication seems to be that the memories that she had of this time in her life have either been altered or hidden away. And after Gunko's memory came rushing back, she also remembered Brook, even calling out his name and trying to run to him before Emu took over, remarking, "What is with all this commotion?" Now, just based on these few examples, we are already seeing a lot of similarity between Sugar and Emu. The Domi Reversi demons and the Turn toys are even very similar in nature, being able to think to themselves how much they hate what is happening. We see this because of the way Rox reacts, asking Roger and Garp to kill him. I believe that this is also the case for the other Domi Reversi giants. Essentially, you are stuck in your own mind, unable to call for help. The only reason that Rox was able to ask Roger and Garp to end him is because I believe that they both possess the voice of all things. I believe that a memory that could snap Gunko out of Emu's control, even for a second, could be the catalyst to the thing that Emu fears the most. And as we talked about earlier, I believe that Emu could have another entity possessing them. And it could be just like Domi Reversi, where the person inside is still aware of what is going on, like with Rox. If this strong memory was the conduit for Gunko's brief awakening, I wonder what would be the thing that could influence Emu in the same way. And with my idea that Emu is also a child the same as Sugar, and even in Gunko's flashback, she was a child as well, I believe that Emu seeing Luffy dancing around in his Nika form, defying logic with the Toon Force, could be what makes their inner child laugh, which in turn would also release a memory from the subjugated person that Emu has taken over. All of this could be what Emu fears the most. And the reason for this is something similar likely happened during the Void Century with Joyboy, which would explain why Emu was so scared after feeling Joyboy's Haki again after all this time from the Haki knot. Emu's power seems to be about control, fear, and sadness, while the Nika power is about freedom, joy, and laughter. Truly an opposition, which reminds me of Oda's original concept of pirates for Romance Dawn: Peacemains and Morganeers. The Peacemains are the fun, free-going, explorative types who just want to adventure, such as Roger, Luffy, Shanks, and the Morganeers are the evil, take-whatever-you-want type of pirates that we are more familiar with in our world, such as Blackbeard, Shiki, and Silveraxe. Now, while this isn't a one-to-one comparison, as obviously we don't know if Emu was ever a pirate, it does seem to encapsulate the opposition fairly well, similar to how Blackbeard and Luffy also have this type of opposition. Another very funny thought I had while researching this whole video is if this could all be one big pun, as we know Oda loves to do. If Emu is the world that Rox referred to, and Luffy's dream is to make the entire world laugh, I just think that is so hilarious. Luffy might not even realize that his dream would amount to this, but in essence, it fits the narrative we have built here, so I just thought I would mention it. So if Emu could have their strength neutralized in some way by the laughter caused by the Nika fruit, what about someone who has been Domi Reversi'd? In the most recent chapter, we saw that Garp and Roger talk about how to neutralize Rox, and even inquire if it's possible to reverse the monster form. It seems like Conquerors is not the key to reverting from Domi Reversi, as even Garp and Roger could not accomplish it. So my idea is that the Giants will see Luffy bouncing through the air in his Nika form and begin to laugh. We saw that on Egghead, Dory and Brocky could not stop laughing at Luffy's Nika form jumping around, which makes me think the other giants might find it just as funny. What's happening on Elbaf could be very similar to what we're seeing happening on God Valley right now. As we talked about earlier, Rox is screaming for Garp and Roger to kill him, and they can only hear him because they both possess the voice of all things. I believe the same exact thing will be happening on Elbaf as Luffy gets up to the Sun Realm. He will see the giants crying out in pain, asking to be killed because they are destroying their homeland and friends. This would cause Luffy to turn into his Nika form, flying high above them, and the giants will see him dancing around and start to laugh, releasing the Domi Reversi curse they have been put under. This would mean that a smile or a laugh would be the true weakness of Emu, which makes sense when you think about the D-Clan and how they all smile when they die. We have seen it time and time again with Roger, Odin, Ace, Luffy on the execution platform, and even Saul when he thought he would die after being frozen. The D is still such an elusive concept to us. With what we have talked about here, I want to pose a possible usage for this symbol. I believe that it's possible. The D is just an upturned smile or laughing face, and the D-Clan implanted this symbol into the names of their descendants as a way for it to survive throughout the ages. Maybe similar in nature to the X the Straw Hats put on their arms as a sign of friendship, the D symbol could be the eternal variable, lasting throughout the ages, similar to the poneglyphs. Even Emu seems to hate the D so much that they attacked Cobra on the spot after him mentioning it, so it seems to be a very sore spot for Emu. The fact that the D is mentioned at this moment while talking about Nefeltari Lily, who is Vivi's ancestor, also makes me think the X and the D could be sharing a common use. It is possible that the D could also have several meanings as well, this just being one of them. It could be Dawn, possibly the Straw Hat as well, but I do like the idea of it being a smiley face. As for the D-Clan, we know Joyboy was almost certainly a D member, as well as Roger, and Roger was on the last island, Laughtail, where Joyboy presumably left all of the history of the world. And as the Roger pirates saw it, they all started laughing. A lot. I think this telling of history from Joyboy could be the thing that made them laugh. If we think about what Luffy's dream is, to make the whole world laugh, and him sharing the same dream as Roger, it makes you wonder if Joyboy could also have had the same dream. The last island being called Laughtail is very telling to me, and I think the reason for this is because it was Joyboy's journey of trying to make the world laugh the same as Luffy and Roger. I think the entire crew laughed at this because of the same reason that Shanks laughed at Luffy when he first heard his dream. Because Luffy had the same dream as Roger, and Roger in turn shares the same dream as Joyboy. A bit of coincidence mixed with an appreciation for the fact that these people, almost 1,000 years apart, shared the same dream is what I think ultimately made the Roger Pirates laugh so hard. Now let's talk about Luffy's weakness with Gear 5. As we have seen, Luffy after using Gear 5 for an extended amount of time seems to grow older and skinnier, very much like the energy steroids on Fishman Island. He only seems to recover after eating a tremendous amount of food, but that doesn't seem to be a sustainable thing all the time. So I believe something else is soon to be found that will allow him to overcome this weakness. And I think, to no one's surprise, the answer lies within the power of laughter. Nika is called the Sun God, and we have wondered since the reveal on Wano why this is the case. While he does have a few fire powers with Red Rock, it hardly gives off the name the Sun God. So what could be the reason? I think that it could be a play on photosynthesis. Essentially, the laughs the Nika power provides would be a sort of conduit for the Sun God power. The more people that laugh, the more power he is provided with. And with the arc being set on Elbaf at the moment, with giants roaming around, the booming laughs would be even greater, giving Luffy the power-up necessary to send Emu back to the Holy Land. I think that the same logic could be applied to the Haki Knot, where laughter and Joyboy's Haki were implanted into this knot, sending the Gorosei back to the Holy Land. Now for the other side of this, Emu. If we take what we saw on the mural seriously with the Forbidden Sun, then we can assume that Emu would also have some type of power source. And there has to be some upper limit with the Reversi powers and regeneration we are not privy to yet. So I think it could be the opposite of the laughter power source, and would be some type of despair or fear that Emu has been harnessing all this time. and it's probably also what is fueling the Abyss. If you think about how Emu has laid out the world government rule, with celestial dragon tribute draining countries of wealth and resources, literal slaves being used to power walkways in Marishwa and build bridges across the globe, the celestial dragon hunts that annihilate islands could also be a great amount of power that was built up at once, and even the powers of the Gorosei and the Holy Knight's devil fruits as well. Summer's thorns literally cause you to be hurt touching people you love, and Killingham's fruit makes nightmares come to life. With all of this in mind, it kind of paints a picture of despair that Emu has been harboring this entire time. I believe it's possible that Emu could have been feeding off this despair and fear from the world, the same as Nika would feed off the laughs of the world. And I can even think of a piece of media that encompasses this very idea. So par for the course for the Gnome channel, let's take a look at another piece of media that I think pretty well embodies what we are talking about with this power source speculation. This time being Monsters Inc. In Monsters Inc., we learn that the Scarers are a group of monsters who go into the human world through door gateways, which sounds like Blue Nose door fruit to me. They use these gateways to get to the human children to scare them, and they use the screams of these children to power their civilization back through the doorway. Even more interestingly, the person who wants to keep this world powered on the screams and even remarks that he would kidnap 1,000 children before he lets this company die is a giant spider or a crab, and he has resolved himself to kidnap children with another monster, Randall, to keep the power source going. Now at the end of the movie, we learn that the children's laughs are actually much more powerful than the screams, and it's a much better alternative since the children don't have to suffer to power the monster's world. This then becomes the new power source of the world, and the funny monsters start to take over the business rather than the scary ones. I am not entirely sure if Oda could be drawing inspiration from Monsters Inc. However, a laughter and fear style power source system is something I remembered vividly from this movie. To summarize, I believe that Luffy's dream being the antithesis to Emu makes a lot of sense narratively, and could explain why it took Oda so long to reveal it to us, as Emu also was revealed pretty late in the story. The fear exhibited by Emu as Joyboy's haki was thrust upon them paints a pretty clear picture that Joyboy is Emu's true mortal enemy, and I believe that is exactly what is happening between Emu and Luffy. The power of laughter winning out over the power of fear, which is what I think Emu's weakness could be. A world full of laughs rather than a world full of fear. A laugh tale, if you will. Thank you for watching, everyone, and if you enjoyed this episode of Gnome Improvement, please like and subscribe. Also, shout out to Jiji and Birch.